I now want to introduce Amy Phillips, who will share her experience of living with ovarian cancer. I'd like to say up front that her words could feel confronting to some. It's not an easy story to share, and it won't be an easy one to listen to. Please welcome Amy.
Thank you, Jane. Thank you for that lovely introduction. And good morning. It is so lovely to meet you all today. My name's Amy Phillips, and I am a 46-year-old wife and mother of 3 beautiful boys, aged 9, 16 and 17. And I have ovarian cancer. I'm honoured to be able to share just a little of my journey with you as we kick off Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month this morning. And hopefully I can give you just a little bit of insight into what it's like to be diagnosed and to live with this insidious disease. So my cancer journey began a little over 2 years ago. It was Christmas, New Year 2019, and we were watching all of our favourite holiday locations on the New South Wales South Coast go up in smoke. And there was news emerging out of China of a virulent strain of coronavirus that had the makings of an international pandemic. And at work, I was in the midst of facilitating machinery of government changes that had to be implemented in a really short time frame. So 2020 was shaping up to be one hell of a year. And as most of us do at that time of year, I had overindulged in Christmas food and hadn't been exercising much due to the fact that I'd been really busy at work and then on holidays. But I was just feeling really bloated, a bit heavy and a little bit constipated. But I just put that down to being maybe just a little more overweight than usual and not been exercising. However, I kind of got to the point where I was sick and tired of looking and feeling 4 months pregnant and knowing that I absolutely was not. But, nobody wants to bother their doctor over just a little bit of bloating and constipation. Doctors are very busy people and they don't need to be bothered with trivial complaints like that. So I thought, okay, I'm due for a pap smear. I'll make an appointment. And while I'm there, I'll just, I'll mention some of these other symptoms. So I did. And my GP gave me some laxatives and said, look, come back in a week if there's no change. So I returned the following week and she did an internal examination and told me she could feel something 3 times the size of my uterus. So, but, don't worry, it could be anything. So she sent me for a blood test and an ultrasound. And the results came back showing 2 large masses, one sort of this big and one this big on my ovaries, and which I couldn't feel. They were there and they were very large, but I didn't know they were there. And I had a tumour marker score of over 700 and below 30 is normal. So quite extreme. But again, it could be anything. But really it was fairly likely, and I'm sure my GP was fairly certain at that point that I had ovarian cancer. Ovarian cancer? What on earth is ovarian cancer? I had no idea. I thought, hang on a minute, that can't be right. I always have regular pap smears, and surely if I'm having regular pap smears and I had ovarian cancer, it would have shown up. Well, no, of course not. Pap smears are for picking up and detecting cervical cancer. There is no standard screening test for ovarian cancer. So then began the whirlwind. Within a week, I had met with a gyno-oncologist and I was prepped for surgery in Sydney. We farmed our children out to different family members and my husband and I made the 3-hour trek up the highway to Sydney. I underwent radical surgery, including a full hysterectomy, which threw me into immediate menopause, among other things. At the time, I really didn't appreciate how major that surgery and recovery would be, but it was successful. So that was fantastic. The surgeon said to me, Amy, I have removed every piece of disease I can see, and I have given you the best chance of recovery because chemotherapy is really great at mopping up those microscopic parts of disease that's left. So within 6 weeks of surgery, I started my first cycle of chemo. Wow, I thought surgery was tough. Chemo is certainly no fun, but, it's bearable knowing that I could come out the other side cancer-free. So, you do chemo for a purpose. You and your family, because it impacts everybody around you, can endure it knowing that it's leading to a positive outcome. Or so I thought. And in our house, the conversation has pivoted in recent times from mum's doing chemo to get better to mum's doing chemo so she doesn't get any sicker. But more about that soon. So it was during my first stint of chemo that I discovered the Teal Support Program and my fabulous Teal Support nurse, Di Keneally. And what a godsend that Teal Support Program and Di have been. Now, don't get me wrong, I have a wonderful oncologist, Dr. Yada Kanjanapan, and the nurses who administer my chemo are lovely, but they're incredibly busy people too. And they don't just focus on ovarian cancer, but the Teal Support Program and ovarian cancer nurses too. And Di checks in on me regularly, and I know that she's only a phone call away, anytime, day or night, whenever I need her. And, you know, I can't understate how important that is. I live in Canberra, so nation's capital, and you would think that I would have access to nurses who specialise in gynecological cancers, like women in Sydney, Melbourne and Brisbane do, but I don't. Canberra, after all, is just a big country town. And if I don't have access to these services in the capital city of our country, then I can't imagine what the experience of women living in remote and regional areas might be. So thankfully, we all have the Teal Support Program. So Di and I, we talk about all manner of things, and ovarian cancer and chemotherapy throw so many unique challenges at you. And Di has helped me through, you know, periods of intense constipation that comes with chemo. And she's empathised with me about the impact that this disease has had on my intimate relationship with my husband. And we've had that really tough conversation too about what the end looks like with ovarian cancer. So essentially, I said to Di, you know, how does one die of ovarian cancer? Now, that's not a conversation you can have with just anyone. So back to my journey. After 5 months of 3 weekly chemotherapy in 2020, I was done. My scans were clear, my tumour marker score was back in the normal range, and I thought, wow, I've done it. I've beaten this thing. It was all worthwhile. But alas, before long, my tumour markers began to rise, and by November 2020, it was confirmed that my cancer had returned and spread to the lymph nodes throughout my body. So with surgery no longer an option, I launched into another 6 rounds of monthly chemo, followed by what has now been, up to yesterday, 22 weeks of weekly chemotherapy with another type of drug. So my reality is that I am living with ovarian cancer and will do so for the foreseeable future. I am acutely aware of the dire statistics associated with ovarian cancer survival in Australia, and that my chemotherapy options are rapidly disappearing. But I know that there are trials underway and the wonderful work that Anna's doing for new treatments, and that breakthroughs are being made every day. And this gives me hope, because let me be very clear, I am not ready to die. I plan to be here to watch my boys grow up, to meet my grandchildren, and to grow old with my husband. I will not let this disease take that from me. But I need your help. It's ongoing funding and your continued support that provides the treatment options that allow me to hope. I'd really like you to know that as I appear before you today, I am just an ordinary woman. I have no family history of breast cancer or ovarian cancer. I don't have the BRCA gene mutation. I don't hit any of the risk factors for ovarian cancer. I was previously well and healthy, relatively young and fit. I could be your sister, your wife, your mother, your daughter. This disease is insidious and it does not discriminate. It is a silent killer. But we can change that. Together with your help and your commitment at budget time to putting the women in your life first, We can continue to find options to treat and eliminate ovarian cancer. Please, give me the hope I need to beat this disease and be here for my grandchildren. Thank you all for coming this morning, and I really look forward to meeting you again in 5 years' time when I can share with you my latest scan results that show I'm cancer-free, thanks to treatment developed out of research funded by the Morrison government in the 22-23 budget. Thank you.
Wow. Thanks so much, Amy. I'm getting some feedback there. Amy, thank you so much for sharing your story. It takes courage, and to think that you've had chemo only yesterday and you're here today. But if we know one thing about women living with ovarian cancer, is that they have courage. Courage that's tested every single day.